Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange that how we're safe and home? So that I count in days until a second glow. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around, just out of top the else. It's all you need to do. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange that how we're safe and home? So that I count in days until a second glow. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around, just out of top the else. It's all you need to do. Never thought that we'd go this far. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe and home? Together counting days until the second call. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around, just out the top of yours. Never thought that we'd go this far. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe and home? Together counting days until the second call. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around, just out the top of yours. It's all you need to do. start. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe at home? Together counting days until the second blow. If you're gonna make a change, you have to let me know. Turn this shit around, just out of top the lungs. It's all you need to do. 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 It's all you need to do.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV, and welcome back to another Good Morning Tottenham. And the way we're going to be structuring this one today is we're going to go through the Tottenham versus Brentford match preview, and then it's going to be your chance to have your say on the game tomorrow night, 7:30 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which promises to be a good game of football, in my opinion. I mean, every game Brentford have been, well, the majority of games Brentford have been involved in this season have been really exciting games of football, haven't they?
Well, they go for it, don't they? They're not scared of anyone. Home or away, doesn't matter who they're playing. They give it a good game. They give it a good go. And they have had some bad results recently, although they've kind of stemmed the tide of after 5 consecutive defeats. But I think that, you know, with Brentford, what you're going to get. You're going to get a team who's very, very physical, very intense from set pieces, always willing to get players in the box from long throws, even if you know, it doesn't matter what time of the game it is. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They're willing to get numbers in the box from set pieces. They like to play the ball very, very quickly. So it's going to be a tough game. And obviously, we have better players, but it's going to be a very, very difficult game when it comes to making sure we're working harder than them, because that's the key to beating Brentford, I think.
Definitely. It's all going to be about hard work, and if Conte has got into these players, then that's what we're going to see tomorrow night at the Tottenham Stadium. But this is your match preview. When you're looking at Brentford, who's really impressed you in terms of their personnel so far?
Yeah, obviously you've got the likes of Ivan Toney, who's had a decent season, although the goals dried up quite a bit, I would say, of late. And Mbeumo is a player who has probably been one of the unluckiest players in the Premier League, I would say, because he's had so many shots off the post and so many shots. So many shots that and chances when he's through on goal, which haven't been able to make the most of. But he's one who's a big threat. He's got a lot of pace in behind and stuff like that. Rico Henry, the left back, he's one of late who's really starting to contribute in the final third. He's starting to get some goals, and he's been pretty good. The keeper, I would have said before he got injured, he was having a great season as well.
Bad injury, actually, 4 or 5 months apparently.
Yeah,
he's out
it's
for.
really bad for him, which is a shame. So He was playing really well. So they've got quite a few players. And Canos as well in central midfield, the creative player, nice ball player. So he's one as well I've definitely been impressed with. But obviously the big threat is the front two, Tony and Mbeumo, who link up really, really well. And Tony is like the physical guy who gets up for aerial challenges and physical battles, and then Mbeumo is usually the one who's running in behind, getting beyond the back line and stretching the play. So it's going to be difficult. Also, they like to play three at the back, so they're going to match us up in that aspect. So it's going to be difficult to combat them tactically. But obviously, we do have the superior players. It's just about whether we can match their intensity, which we know Brentford are very intense.
Yeah, and with those two, Ivan Toney and Mbeumo up front, how do you think they're going to fare against the back three, which won't be our strongest back three? No Romero, probably be Sanchez, Dyer, and Davis. How do you think those two will combat against our back three?
It's hard to say. I would say that I can see them getting a lot of joy if they're able to get the supply to them. I think that's going to be the main way to stop Brentford kind of getting a lot of joy, is cutting off the supply to Tony and Mbeumo, not letting them get the ball quickly to them. The thing is, they're not scared to go long. They're not scared to play a long ball into Tony and have him hold it up. So it's going to be very difficult. Dyer, if we had Romero there, who we know is very aggressive and he would like to get in front of Tony and not let him win a physical battle like he did with Antonio, I would say would have a lot more joy. But seeing as he's out, we're probably going to be seeing as Sanchez is in the lineup for Burnley. I'm guessing it's going to be Sanchez again for Brentford.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very easy predicted lineup this week.
Seeing as we saw the lineup. So I would say it's going to be difficult because Dyer, Davis and Sanchez are not the most proactive of centre-backs, which Conte likes. We know that. And then he likes them to be very comfortable in the ball. So can I see Mbeumo and Tony getting some joy? I can, unfortunately. We'll just have to make sure we're cutting off supply as much as possible. And when Tony gets the ball, we're watching those runs in Mbeumo, not making sure he's not running in behind and making sure he's not getting that space. Because in Mbeumo, he's, as I said before, like he gets so many chances. I don't know how many goals he's got. I don't think it's as many goals as he should be getting. He must have missed some of the most big chances in the league this season.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's probably, in terms of strikers in the Premier League, he's probably got the most XG without getting any goals.
Yeah, has he not scored at all?
I think maybe one. Maybe one.
Because he scored 2 goals.
Oh, 2
goals. But I think he's hit the post like 7 times.
Yeah.
Every game I see. I swear.
I mean, definitely at the start of the season he was hitting the post a lot, and then I put him on my fantasy, and he hasn't done nothing since.
I remember against Chelsea, they absolutely battered them. Mendy had a mad game, and then Mbeumo, I think, hit the post twice and forced Mendy into some loads of saves. So them two are going to be a massive threat to us. And just got to make sure that the centre-backs are dominating them physically, making sure we're cutting off supply to them. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very difficult. And Burnley as well, just like Tottenham are looking to do, they like to overload the opposite fullback area when the opposite winger has the ball. So you'll see when Rico Henry has the ball, they're going to overload the far side of the pitch at the back post to make sure there's an outnumbered. So we're going to have to watch out for that. It's going to be very, very difficult to manage. Yeah. And so our fullbacks are only obviously going to have to be very, very attacking and offensive, but also going to have to make sure that when the Brentford wing-backs are in attacking positions, they're not just high up the pit, caught out of position, because otherwise they're going to be caught out in overloads. And they manage that very, very well, Brentford usually.
Yeah. Can we get some of the graphics on screen? We've got the standard match preview assets. When you're looking at when we've come up against Brentford, obviously we haven't played them much.
Last year, though,
we played them last year in the Cup, but before then we hadn't played them since 2000. These are the kind of past results.
I don't, not at all.
I slightly remember the 3-2s.
I don't remember that at all, to be honest. 3-2. I obviously remember last year it was the semi-final, was it? It was the semi-final. No, yeah,
semi-final.
Yeah, semi-final of the League Cup. So that was a game where we deserved to win. I remember they had a goal from Ivan Toney ruled out, if I remember rightly, like at 1-0, could have been 1-0. But other than that, obviously I don't remember the games before that. It was a bit before my time, unfortunately.
Well, just to put it into context, who was playing for us the last time we played Brent? Well, to be honest, all those games that were brought up were all in the cup. But when we beat them 3-2, I mean, I'm just trying to get it up on screen, but just to put it into a bit of context for you, it was back in 2000. I think Stefan Freund and them lot were playing for us, David Ginola, in the cup when we did win 3-2. I can't seem to get it, but I think it's too far away to get the proper stats up, which is mad, actually.
Probably. No, surely you should get a lineup.
Trying to get it.
What is it, Andy Booth playing?
Andy Booth. Andy Booth only played like one game for us, didn't he? When we beat them 3-2 in 2000, Stephen Carr and Jose Dominguez and Ramon Vega scored for us.
So it's been a while since. Well, is this their first time in the Premier League, isn't it? So
yeah.
These are all cup.
These are all cup games, and in '98, back then is when we it was two-legged second round League Cup games. I don't know if you even know if you remember that.
No, I don't.
And in 2000, it was the same. So back then, I think the first 2 rounds of the competition were two-legged.
And we won both of them 3-2.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But yeah, that's kind of the... We just haven't played them, so there's no like past experience to go by. But when you're looking at the form in the league, Brentford have kind of like put an end to that slump that they were on. 5 defeats in a row. They've backed it up with a draw and a win now. 7 goals in their last 5, 10 conceded in their last 5. So, I mean, they're a defence that are there to be got at.
Definitely. No, look. They're, as much as they're a dangerous team, and they've done well since coming up from the Championship, they are a champion. They are like a lot of these players, Championship quality, who are overperforming. So as long as they're a team that obviously works hard, but as long as you match them in their work rate, with our superior players, they're definitely got at. They can definitely be got at, and they can definitely be stopped. You know, Norwich beat them a couple of weeks ago. That shows that they're very much a fallible team. So there's nothing for Tottenham to fear. We just got to make sure we don't underestimate them. That's the main thing, and they are doing well, but they're doing well for as a Championship team getting promoted. This isn't a team who are blowing teams away left, right, and centre or anything like that. They're having a good start to the season for a promoted side. So I think Tottenham have to make sure we don't underestimate them, but we can't show them too much respect either. We've got to make sure that we're dominating the game.
We shouldn't be showing anyone too much respect. Let's be honest. We should be going out there, playing our game, sticking to our guns, and playing like a more dominant side.
Yeah, especially against a team like Brentford, 100%. We should be, Kane, Son, Lucas have to be getting them on the ball as much as possible. They can really hurt that back three of Brentford, and they're one of their biggest strengths is their wing backs, but also one of their biggest weaknesses is the fact that they like to get forward so much, and hopefully Kane, Son, and Lucas can exploit that, and also Reguilon and Emerson as well. So I think we're going to be playing with those 2 centimetres of Skip and Højbjerg. We're going to give ourselves a solid base. So going to have to make sure that the wing-backs are getting really far forward, despite the fact that Brentford like to get their wing-backs far forward as well. We have to make sure that we're pushing them back rather than them pushing us back. Yeah. So we need Reguilon and Emerson to really dominate those wide areas. Yeah,
definitely. When you're looking at the ways that we can hurt them, you're saying that we need to dominate those wide areas. How do we really hurt their defence? Because, they've got centre-backs that do like to go forward as well. They've got centre-backs that have got quite a few assists this season. How do we hurt them apart from kind of pressing them back with the full-backs?
I would say if we get it to, I think Harry Kane is a massive player in this game, because if we can get the ball to him and get him to hold the ball up, then you get runners of Son and Lucas in behind the Brentford centre-backs, because as you've seen so far under Conte, they've liked to stay very central, haven't they? The 3 attackers with Reguilon and Emerson providing the width. So I would say get Kane holding the ball up, get him pinning the centre-backs back, get Son and Lucas involved as much as possible. and get them in the attacking areas. And as much as the Brentford centre-backs like to be ball playing and they are strong, they're definitely gettable. You can definitely take them on and you can beat them. So I would say Lucas and Son have to be able to take them on and have to be able to get in behind them. There should be some space behind that Brentford back line. As much as Brentford are a solid team, they do leave you with a chance. So I would say Son and Lucas are going to be very crucial in this game.
Would you play an Ndombele in this game? Because you're saying there's going to be a lot of space in behind, and with Skip and Højbjerg in the middle there, it's kind of hard for them to try and exploit that space, and it's more likely that Ndombele can from the middle of the park to create those kind of avenues that he does. Would you play him?
Well, depends what formation. I mean, we could match, because Brentford play 3 at the back, but also 2 up front with 3 in the centre. So you could match them and put an Ndombele in there and make sure they're not dominating the midfield battle, which is a possibility. I think having Ndombele in the centre, as opposed to Lucas up top, might create a bit more creativity. I would say so. It's definitely something I would consider. I'm trying to remember. I think didn't Ndombele got an assist, if I remember rightly, was it Ndombele?
What, last season?
Yeah, against Brentford. I think he played Son through on goal. I think it was him when they scored.
I don't remember.
But I think I would consider it because you do risk kind of getting outnumbered in the centre, and I do think the team that we have is better suited to having an extra midfielder rather than the Lucas and rather than having Lucas. But it depends how.
John won't be happy with you now.
Definitely, yeah, probably not. But it's also. Having Lucas there does also provide the ability to stretch that back three of Brentford, which not having him you might see Son and Lucas a bit isolated up top, and maybe the Brentford backline might fancy themselves. So I think I'll probably just keep it with Lucas for now, but I think definitely in the future having Ndombele or Lo Celso in the centre probably better suits the team we have.
I personally think that we can play that same formation that Brentford play with Lucas in the middle, because I think he has bite to his challenges. He likes to run around, he likes to put his foot in sometimes, and also he can relieve the pressure as well, where he can get the ball in the middle of the park and just drive forward. So I don't see why we can't play Lucas Moura in that middle role.
You could. I don't know. You could, but it's whether he.
Do you not think he's suited to that?
What, playing just behind, like how we play him on FIFA?
Yeah, like how we play him on FIFA, or even a bit deeper. Like in a middle three.
I wouldn't want him a bit deeper because you need a bit of guile in that area. You need to be able to like pass and move and be very accurate with when you're laying the ball off. And Lucas is a great dribbler. But whether he'd be maybe he could, but I feel like he can definitely dribble from deep and get in on the back line.
That's his forte.
Yeah, we know that. But whether he's able to, when he's got the ball in the centre of the park with players around him, he could always dribble his way out of trouble. But he also needs to be able to look up and have a bit of vision, and that's why I question whether he'd be suited to that role. I think you could probably give it a go, but whether when he's running straight at the back line and he's got options, whether he picks the right option and plays people through on goal. I don't know. We have to wait and see, wouldn't we, with Lucas? Maybe he could do it. I mean, he's obviously a very hard worker. Would you want him in that centre of the park in midfield when you don't have the ball? Maybe he's probably better off than Ndombele, you could argue.
I think that's a definite that he's going to be better off than Ndombele. He runs around, he gives his all for the team, and he's a very hard worker, Lucas Moura. And he can put in a challenge. He can. I don't see why he couldn't make that role. I really don't. And when you're talking about Ndombele not giving his all for the team or not providing enough for us in that central midfield role, and like we can only put him further up the pitch, I think Lucas Moura could really do that. I really believe it.
I think he could be a good like option right now. Like as a stopgap. I don't know if he could be a long-term solution.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, for sure. I'm talking about in the options we have right now. I'm not talking about, if I want him to see there long-term and we want to sign a new player there, fine. But I'm talking about right now. We're talking about this game.
He probably could do a job there. I mean, I don't see why not. Especially in this kind of game. But it's whether he can. It's always the same problem with Lucas. When he gets in those positions, he needs to be able to make that killer pass and make those right options. And I have the feeling we might get a bit frustrated with him. But
yeah, we get frustrated with him anyway, don't we?
That's true. So I don't know. I mean, from a disciplined tactical point of view, would I want him there? I don't know, because it's whether he because you have to be quite disciplined, I feel, if you're going to be in that middle field as well, because you need to get back in position. And is he going to be a bit too much like a headless chicken in there, or is he going to actually be able to do a very good job for us? I don't know.
The thing is, if we've got Skip and Højbjerg in there with him, that gives him a bit of leeway, because you've got those two with a very solid base. So he's going to be the one with a bit of a more free role in there.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, potentially. It could work. Yeah, it could work. I mean, especially in this game, it definitely could work. So, yeah, I wouldn't. You could give that a go.
When you're looking at the players that Brentford have out, we've already spoken about David Raya, the goalkeeper, Christopher Aya. I mean, he was a summer signing from Celtic, wasn't he? Joshua Da Silva, who's played quite a lot of football this season. I'm not sure about Jorgensen and Giovanni.
I don't know about Giovanni, but I know Jorgensen. He's the Danish centre-back, I believe. And he was playing quite a bit. So
I like that midfielder Onyeka. I think he's a very good player.
Yeah, he's really come a long way this season. Definitely started the season really well. Obviously Canos, he's had a very strong start to the season. Rico Henry recently is in great form. So it's not going to be easy when playing against these lot, and especially now they're back on form after 4 defeats in a row. That would have really played on their mind, I think. And to get back on form, it was a good win against Everton, I think. So it wasn't. It was a hard-fought victory, although it was from a penalty. It was definitely a hard-fought victory, and those kind of wins definitely give you confidence as a team. And they love the manager. Everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet over there. So now they're starting to pick up points again. They're going to be maybe a different animal to maybe when they're on a bad run.
Yeah, and when you bring up the next stat and the one to watch, you've got Ivan Toney, who tops the Premier League for aerial battles won. I'm guessing that's as a striker. But first, that just shows how much of a big battle the defence are up against on Thursday night, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially because Dyer, especially Davis as well, Dyer, Davis and Sanchez, they're all decent in the air, but none of them are exceptional. So when you're playing against a player like Toney, who is really exceptional in the air, it's going to make it all the more difficult. And when you've got a Buemo running in behind against, Davis, who's not the quickest, none of them, except for obviously Sanchez is quick, but Dyer and Davis definitely can be caught out from a
Dyer's fairly solid in the air. Dyer can do a job on Toney, can't he?
I told you he's good, but he's not exceptional. So for example, if there's 10 aerial challenges, Toney could win 5 of them. You know what I mean?
What about Joe Rodon? Would you consider playing him for the aerial ability?
I would, but he doesn't fancy him in terms of him on the ball, and that's what is massive when it comes to playing in a Conte system. You need to be able to be comfortable on the ball, and you need to be able to either play line-breaking passes or be able to stride the midfield. And Rodon, I know. Look, for Swansea, he was quite good at that. Wales haven't seen too much of it, but for Spurs, we haven't seen too much of him being comfortable on the ball and be able to actually play the ball forward confidently with accuracy. So, as much as he's great in the air, would I put him in for this game? Probably not.
Because, as much as we need defenders comfortable on the ball and comfortable in playing out from the back, in this game, when you're coming up against the striker who's won the most aerial challenges in the Premier League, you've got to be competent in the air. You've got to have those defenders that are going to beat him in the air and with the aerial ability. That's the only reason why I would say potentially put him in.
I would say it's more important when you're having us in possession being effective when we're on the ball. So I think it's more, yes, okay, you might lose a few challenges to Toney. Okay, you got to make sure you pick up the second balls, and you got to make sure you're picking up Buemo, and maybe obviously when it comes to headers in the penalty area, it's going to be difficult. But you can't sacrifice the potential downside of us being, because I think the way we build up play with our centre backs is so important under Conte, like really important.
Yeah.
And if they're not building up play effectively, you're going to see us be completely ineffective with the ball, and you're going to see us playing long balls all the time and not being able to play through the lines and not being able to create chances, and that's going to really hamper us. So I'm not saying obviously putting in Rodin is completely going to ruin our play, but I'm just saying you need us as effective as possible at the back, and obviously having Sanchez there doesn't help. But who would you take? Would you put Rodin in for Sanchez potentially? I mean, maybe. I guess that wouldn't be the worst.
If it was going to be for anyone, it's got to be for him.
Yeah, because you need Dyer, and unfortunately, we need Dyer and Davis at the back.
How mad is that? Need Dyer and Davis at the back. It's crazy.
They're our best ball-playing centre backs.
It's crazy. Just think about. Well, imagine if you, like 6 months ago, if someone was to say that, everyone would be laughed out of the room.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We don't need them in terms of like ability of their ability, but we need them in terms of our options. Like they are our best options right now, and that's sad to say, but that's just the reality. That's the state of our squad, which is why I'm saying we're so desperate for upgrading our centre backs. That's number one still, especially now with Conte coming in. So I mean, I can see the logic in putting Rodin in with Sanchez, but you also need a pacey player as well to make sure Mbeumo doesn't get in behind, and you need to be able to have players more comfortable on the ball. Who's more comfortable on the ball, Sanchez or Rodin? You could argue it's Rodin, I guess, but we haven't. I know for Sanchez, we know he's not comfortable on the ball. Rodin, we're just not sure, are we?
To be fair with Sanchez, right? Since he's come in under Conte, I mean, his aerial presence has been quite good in these little cameos where he's come on.
Yeah.
Just where he's lacking is how comfortable he is on the ball.
We know that.
So I mean,
again with Sanchez, physically he's decent, but like that's all he is. He's good, but he's not exceptional. So Tony will win a few when I would say Tony will win his fair share. I'm sure Sanchez could compete with him for sure, but like Tony will be able to get the better of him a few times, which is all he needs.
Yeah.
But again, we need to look. Maybe it's a case of sacrificing that to make sure that we're as good on the ball as possible when we're in possession.
Yeah. All right. What score prediction you go for?
I'm going to go with 2-1 Tottenham.
2-1. Yeah, we both went for 2-1 in our the Prem. I think we're both going to stick with that. I just want to see Harry Kane have a good game. I want to see him get on the score sheet. I want to see Sonny back on form as well, because if we have those two players both on form, I think we win this game.
For sure, because they're the most talented players on the pitch, so they could really make the difference. And if it's a tight game, their quality hopefully can make the difference when it comes to when it comes to being in the final third. Because
I mean, you can play terribly, but them two can pop up with a goal out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
And or just a bit of quality in the final third.
How many times were those two our get out of jail free card last season?
Yeah, last season, our whole game was based around them, wasn't it, for large parts of last season, which is which we haven't seen enough of this season, unfortunately. But we are getting used to a new system again now after Nuno, now Conte. So it's all about fitting them in to get the best out of them. For me, I've always said it, that I have the feeling that we need them centrally, both of them. I think we need Son centrally closer to goal, and I think it will be a better fall for Kane that way as well. But for now, they're going to be both a bit of Son and Lucas are going to be a bit wider, I feel, and we're going to go with that. But I feel like once we get Son and Kane centrally with another creative midfielder, that could be the best for us.
All right. Well, we're both going 2-1 to Spurs tomorrow night. Me and Sim are both going to be in the stadium tomorrow night with John Cooper and Josh King on the watch-along tomorrow, so come and check that out. And if you want to see us on a watch-along tonight, me and Sim will be doing a watch-along for the Merseyside derby tonight on freebets.com. So come and join us on freebets.com and we'll have a good laugh. We'll be tracking every single game that'll be happening tonight. There's a big list of Premier League football tonight. We'll be concentrating mainly on the Merseyside derby. We will be keeping an eye on every other game as well. So come and join us tonight on freebets.com. I'll post a link for you guys in the community section. So come and join us. It's going to be good fun tonight. But that is our match preview. Let's get into some guests. I want to hear what people have to say on the game tonight. And let's start off with Mikey. Mikey, how's
Hey,
it going, man?
hey,
Hey,
hey.
Mikey.
Good to be back. It's I was on the Irish guys one before when the match was cancelled on Thursday, so I'm
You
getting
cheating
into
on
it.
us, Mikey? No, you
Now,
mean the pre-match pump up?
yeah, no, not HITC now. The pre-match pump up.
That's all right
Fucking
then.
no. I watch. I don't watch the Irish guy. I watch the other HITC one. Alfie, he's brilliant. But the match this weekend is going to be because I'm studying in Twickenham, so I'm very close to the Brentford Community Stadium, and I've seen a lot of. So I'm just getting something up on my phone.
It's all right. Go for
I've
it.
seen a lot of people say that Brentford coming back into form is terrible for Tottenham, and I watched their two. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Brentford because I grew up right around where the stadium was, and I was always surrounded by Chelsea and Brentford and fans, and I had neighbours who were Brentford fans, and I always have a bit of a soft spot for them. So I've always wanted Brentford to win their Premier League games. Now that they're playing Tottenham for the first time, like in the league, it's a bit of mixed emotions for me. But obviously, Tottenham is always my team, so I'll back our boys. But um, I I've never felt so divided about a game because the way Brentford play, they can have a catastrophe or they can have a masterclass. There's never an in between. I remember they've had some thrilling games like the 3-3 draw at Anfield or against Liverpool. I can't remember if it was Anfield or not. I think this game is going to be pivotal because we're unbeaten in the league under Conte, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one
Two
win,
games.
one win, one draw.
yeah, 2 games, which is, I mean, it's not a lot to go on, but I think if this is like he's had an extended period now, and I think a lot of the excuses of don't worry, he's bedding the players in, they're starting to get used to his system. And I said on Sunday how embarrassing that defeat to Mura was. I mean, I listened to the game on Bet365. They do like live radio commentaries because I was doing my I was doing my uni work while listening to it, and I was absolutely embarrassed listening to how every time I heard their goalkeeper's name, I thought, have he make a save? And he went, no, he just sauntered out of his box and took a walk around Mura's half. They they literally we had no ambition. We were very very poor. Kane scored again in the Conference League. I remember I went to the Pakosh home game and watched him score twice there. And what is it with Harry Kane in the league? He's doing it in every other competition, but he's allergic to scoring goals in the league this season. It's quite
It's hardest competition to score in, probably. That's why.
yeah, but like at the same time, it's the one he's had the most run of matches in, so that should theoretically even out a little bit. But I I want to see Kane and Son back on form, as you guys said. I've been listening into your like little debate on whether or not Sanchez, Dyer, Davis can do it, and I honestly think that the way we've been going, I I I want I want to say that we're going to do well, but I just can't see us. I can't. I've got so much hope for this game because it really is make or break for me. I'm going to watch it on Amazon Prime because I've got a Prime subscription, so I'm going to be watching the game. Thank God I can actually watch one for a change. And I think it's going to be my score prediction will be 2-1 as well, same as you guys. 2-1 to Tottenham because I'll always back the boys, but that's more of a hope. That's more hope than realism. That's realism from me because
What worries you about Brentford? What about Brentford worries you?
I watched them play 3-5-2, and on their day, their midfield base. I can't remember who their most frequent starters are, but I know they've got players like Norgard, they've got Jensen, and they've got players like that who can.
Onyeku.
They're not the most, and Onyeka as well. The bloody hell, he's on point as well. They've got our midfield of Højbjerg and Skip is solid enough, but if they get because they're defense midfielders who sit back, whereas Brentford's midfield is very aggressive, it's very pressing, like they did in the Championship. They don't sit back against teams; they will go at you, not in a way that a Leeds United would, but they don't sit back like a Steve Bruce Newcastle would. It's a mixture of both, and that's kind of dangerous because we play Højbjerg and Skip, and Skip is the most defensive one, so he's obviously going to sit back, and that leaves Højbjerg to run the midfield. And while he's a really good midfielder, that's not his role. He's a destroyer, not a creator. I think anyway, or at least for what I've seen, he's much better at destroying when he's got two midfielders who push ahead of him, like he does with Denmark. He's brilliant at what he does for Denmark, but him at Tottenham isn't working out at the moment. A lot of people would say to me that keep hope, and I'm happy with Conte, but I think between now and the end of January, now and the end of December, Conte before the January transfer window, he's got to work with what he's got before he can implement who he wants to buy, and that I think is the most challenging period for us. So
who's your biggest priority in January?
Centre backs. It has to be centre backs, because if Romero's out for as long as we think he's going to be out, which is until definitely at least the new year, we need to buy someone. I don't know who's going to want to come to Tottenham. To be honest, I know if he's been promised the money that he has been, we need to improve centre backs. Skip is solid enough. I think midfield is definitely an issue to come at in the summer when more midfielders are going to want to move. But the problem position right now is centre back, because once you take out Romero, you need a better left-footed centre back than Ben Davis, and you need a better everything than Eric Dyer.
Yeah.
Eric Dyer is never been good. He's never been shockingly bad. I mean, that's stretch.
That's debatable.
I mean, he's never been so calamitous every game. Sometimes he's dependable enough, but he's a very good backup option to play 5-10 games a season. But he's not a 38 game a season Premier League defender. Maybe he could do it for a Newcastle and still get overrun. He's not that caliber. Neither is Davinson Sanchez. I said that the biggest waste of money in Tottenham history, besides Ndombele for me, has been Davinson Sanchez. He paid £42 million for what some people were saying he was a better prospect than De Ligt at the time when we bought him. Mm-hmm. And now look at him. Look at the two career paths they've had.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. And I think that you're right. I think that the defence need major surgery, and it's needed major surgery for a long time. It's needed major surgery since Toby and Jan started declining, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's been nothing short of an absolute calamity ever since they left. And who were we expecting? Toby Alderweireld. If Conte had come in not in the summer, maybe Alderweireld would have stayed, because he is the kind of defender that Conte would love. You spoke about passing lanes. You spoke about his long passing, and Toby Alderweireld, maybe besides Virgil, is the best in the Premier League at his long ball distribution. When he played for us, he was really good with his passing out into the forward and midfield areas. And I remember a few times, the most memorable one for me is the Dele Alli goal season or two ago, when he split the pass with one long ball over the top and Ali scored. I remember.
Was that against Everton, that goal? He scored quite a few like that, didn't he, Dele Alli? Yeah. When Toby just pinned it over and Dele got it on the run.
He definitely scored one against Everton like that, yeah.
I think Jan Vertonghen, he was a good time to leave, but I think Toby could have stuck around for another season to really, because him, Romero, and then, because I know Toby Alderweireld, wasn't great, but he was still our best defender before Romero came in. He was still Toby Alderweireld. It's not like he was Eric Dyer. He is still a good defender, so we could have put him, and I think him and Romero would have formed an unlikely good partnership, and then just have that left footer on the side. I mean, was Jan Vertonghen left-footed?
Mm-hmm. I still think we let go of Jan too early as well. Not just Toby. I think we let go of Jan too early.
Imagine having Jan Vertonghen on the left, Alderweireld through the middle, and Romero on the right, or Alderweireld on the right and Romero through the middle. Imagine having that back three.
I think if we still have Jan in the squad right now, he gets into our starting 11. I genuinely believe that.
He takes that left centre back spot ahead of Davis for sure. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, to be fair, the Premier League, maybe obviously the Premier League is not the Liga NOS. It's not the same caliber, but he's still doing well. I mean, he's playing for Benfica, which are historically, you might say, a bigger team than Tottenham Hotspur. So, not now, but historically, definitely. So I'd say that he's still got a pretty good grip on him. But back to the Brentford game. Obviously, their goalkeeper, Raya, is out for an extended period. They've got a couple of people out. I can't remember who. I think Rico Henry is exactly the fullback that Emerson Royal doesn't want to face, because it will force him to stay back. I know that we've got covering defenders with the 3-back is supposed to cover for when the fullbacks push up, but Rico Henry has such searing pace that he'll be able to probably get past get past Emerson, and get across him before whoever our right centre back is can come and deal with him. Because he's that quick and he's that on point. And obviously, you spoke about Ivan Toney. Everyone knows how good Ivan Toney is, and Buemo has probably been the unluckiest player in the division, much like you said. So I think overall, this is a make or break game, because my faith in Tottenham is never waning, but it's not as strong as it used to be when we were competing for top 4. Not faith in the club, but faith in the players. You know, I've had a few people say to me, you've come in, you've had 3-4 managers now. It's starting to think it might not be the manager's fault, but rather it might be the players' attitudes. And there's 3 or 4 players I'd look at and say, you're not doing your service. You've got to get rid of the deadwood. And the largest of which I would say is Ndombele. And someone I hold particular disdain for is Harry Winks. I've just never seen him as good. Even when he had that masterclass against Real Madrid, I saw it was a fluke. It was a fluke, definitely. It was academy prospects, fills the homegrown quota, but he does nothing else for us. I don't see why he was the one in the squad last year and Skip was out on loan. If Winks was on loan with Norwich in the Championship and Skip was starting games for us, that would have made more sense to me last season.
Well, I think that Skip needed consistent game time, and he couldn't have got that at Spurs last season. I mean, maybe he could have fought his way in at some point, but I think that loan move last year for Skip would have done him the world of good.
Oh yeah,
and that's why he's in our starting 11 this year, is because of the experience he got last year with Norwich.
For his development, definitely, but for the squad, for our personnel, Skip would have been better than Højbjerg. Skip would have been better than Winks to partner up with Højbjerg even last season. So I'm not gonna ramble on about how much I don't like Harry Winks. He sounds like a nice guy, but he's not a good midfielder. That's for sure. And you know, you've got the traditional 4 or 5 names of deadwood that every transfer window, everyone says we need to let go of, and we never do. The likes of Davis, Dyer. I mean, we got rid of Sissoko in the summer. That was a better job as a midfield substitute than Harry Winks has done this season. I love Moussa Sissoko. I mean, even though he gave away the penalty in the final, there was something about him. I just absolutely loved him when he was at Tottenham.
Yeah, I think he was good. He was good for a time, Moussa Sissoko, but it got to a stage, in my opinion, you know, after the start of last season where he just didn't do anything for us in games. He was coming on, hardly even running around, not putting too much effort in. And when the Sissoko stops putting that effort in, what does he actually bring? Because he's got nothing to his skill set on the ball. And if he stops running around off the ball, what does he actually bring to the team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the attitudes of the Tottenham players need serious questioning, top of which is Harry Kane. I think everyone calls him the model professional, and I'm not denying that. When he wants to be where he wants to be, he's a thorough professional. But even now, he's still sulking about that move to Man City. I can feel it. Everyone said that he's reiterated his club commitment to Tottenham many times, and I think it's true. But that failed move, that hate, not the hate, but that almost bad relationship with Daniel Levy that Harry Kane has because of his denied move to. I mean, look at what Man City are doing now. They're in a 3-horse title race, and they're not even lacking that goal-scoring edge. But if they had Harry Kane in that team, they'd be absolutely unstoppable. But you look at his performances, and I think even he started to tire of carrying this team. Son's off form. Kane looks tired, lethargic. I think the week's break will really help him. And if he can reinvigorate himself ahead of the busy December schedule, then we might actually have a chance of getting points in these games. If we lose to the likes of Brentford and Norwich, then we really will be in deep shit, for want of a better word.
I can't even comprehend us losing to Brentford and Norwich. That would be horrific.
Yeah, but you couldn't comprehend us losing to Mora, and look what happened.
True. Very true. I've just got to hope that our first team don't have the same level of performance as our second team. That's just got to pray.
But Mikey, look, I just want to say thanks for getting all our hopes up this weekend. You haven't put us into depression. I'm joking. No, thanks for coming on, mate. Really good call. And we'll see you soon.
See ya.
Nice one, Mikey.
Cheers, mate. That was Mikey. And let's go to our next guest.
He's
got
not gonna make us depressed, is he?
he's not going to make us depressed at all. The great Brian Daigle, everyone. Mr. Brian, how are you, my friend?
Good morning, or is it afternoon for you? Good afternoon to you guys. It's 7:30 in the morning here. So how are you boys?
Early way. Hug Brian. You been lighting your candles?
Well, we have been. I haven't been. I've been witnessing them. I haven't been lighting them, but yeah, we've been witnessing them. And today I've got a nice day playing with my wife because it's 4 years today that I moved to Canada. So spending the day
nice
with
one.
wifey. So
Happy Canada anniversary.
thank you, boys.
Happy anniversary.
Exactly. So we've got that today, and let's talk Tottenham. Let's talk the joys of Tottenham.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Obviously, big game tomorrow night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. How much of a threat to Brentford pose to us, in your opinion?
I actually think they pose quite a big threat, but do you know what? I think the biggest threat is ourselves to ourselves.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I've been saying the whole time that I think this game's going to have goals. I've seen 4 goals in it. I think we're going to get 3-1 to us.
Okay.
I think we're going to get 3-1 to us. But the point that I'm worried about with this game is, I don't think I know. I think it's the first show I've done with you since Burnley got called off, and you got to look at that game being called off. Was it either a blessing or a curse? And the reason I say blessing is because obviously it gives Conte more time to train with the players. It gives them more time to work on his philosophy. Or the curse, which is the one that I'm leaning to. And the reason I'm leaning to it is going into that game, Conte would have lit such a rocket up all their asses. Like, right, you've got to go right, run through brick walls. I don't care what you do. This is the game. You show me what you mean. And obviously get called off. And it's whether, I'm sure Conte can, it's whether he can keep that momentum of that massive, because of the space in games, it's whether that rocket can still be kept up their asses as far as it was, so to speak. So,
well,
so
apparently they, on the day of the Burnley game, they went back and trained. That's what the reports are saying.
What, on the same day?
Yeah.
So they drove back to London and trained.
Yeah.
Good.
Very good. That's exactly what we need. That's the kind of things they need to do. I mean, I watched that, not the recent one on Amazon, but Juventus documentary I think they had on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I've heard Gaza mention it as well, and other players that have gone to Italy. If you lose a game badly on a Sunday, they don't go home. They take them. They like tell your wives or your girlfriends or your family you're not coming home. We're going on a 2-day training camp, and you're not sick. So do you know what? Maybe we do need some of that mentality drummed into these players, because that's what we need desperately.
Got the Irish Hotspur in the comments. He says, "Does Daigle ever sleep? Do you ever sleep?"
Yeah, but do you know what, mate? For some reason, it was my cap, but for some reason now I keep waking up at 10 to 5 every bloody morning. It's not fun. It's
because you want to get on the Good Morning Tottenhams. That's why.
I think it is, mate. I told you, mate, when I did that week with you, or went in Simeon's chair, you put like a GPS chip on me, and you're just manipulating me like, right, Daigle, and I'm getting electric shocks to wake up. So, well, maybe, but yeah, David, I'm not sleeping at all by the looks of it.
When you're looking at the threats that they pose with Ivan Toney, the aerial ability that he has, number one in kind of aerial duels in the Premier League, I think that's for strikers. Who would you play at centre-back in those 3 centre-back spots? Would you keep it as what it was going to be for Burnley with Sanchez in that 3rd spot, or would you consider playing a Joe Rodon?
I'm actually choosing someone called, I want to stick with Tanganga. I mean, I'm a Sanchez fan, but I just think if we're going to play Tanganga, and there's a lot of people like myself that think the right back at the right of the back 3 is like the position that was made for him, or he was made for that position. And you're not going to see if he is unless you give him games. And I think he's got to start looking at things. The way I'm looking at it is he's got to make sure he has the 11 he wants fit for Leicester and Liverpool over this Christmas period. Like that's the 2 that he's going to want to have his proper full. This month is always game management and making sure players recover and eat right and train right. And I think those 2 games, the Leicester and Liverpool ones, are the ones he would have pinpointed as that's the 2 I want my strongest team for. So I think it's working around that. But if I had my choice, it would be Dyer, Davies, Tanganga. It's the 3.
With Tanganga, is it because he's a youth academy player that everyone wants to see him play, or that you want to see him play, or is it because of what he's actually shown in a Spurs shirt?
It's a bit of both. For me, it's a bit of both. I mean, you got to remember, like Ledley King did, he made his debut against Liverpool, and he was fantastic in that game.
Dawson as well made his debut against Liverpool.
There you go. He had a couple of good games, but he picked up an injury, and that kind of put the kibosh on that. Then he's been around the periphery and getting the odd game here and then. And then obviously we saw what he's capable of against Man City. That's the game where you saw, right, this guy has got what is needed. He just needs to do this on a regular basis. So I honestly think, I said it before, that I think that is his position. I don't like him at a right back. It's good to have him in case we need him to shift out there, but I don't see his position there. I want to see him have a consistent run in a back three on that right, and we know his back three with Conte is going to happen. It's just whether he gets the run of games. So it's a bit of both, that question, I must say. I mean, it's a little bit, he's one of our own, but I really think there's a player on that position.
Interesting.
Yeah, and in terms of when you're looking at January, Brian, what's your priority in January for you?
Dele Alli out. Goodbye. See you later. Ta-da. Don't pack your bags. I'll come home and pack them for you. I'll piggyback you wherever you want to go. I've retweeted.
You got to come back in January then, not February then, if that's
mate,
the case.
If it was to get Dele Alli out, I'm on my way, mate. I'll swim if I can't get over because of the new variant. Yeah, it's just, you know what I saw today on Euros, or there's from the Spurs Express on Eurosport saying he wants to stay and fight for his place. I'm like, well, I bet you do on 150 or whatever grand you are a week for playing Fortnite and doing nothing. I bet you want to try and fight for your place. The time is up with the excuses and I'm going to Dubai and look at my six pack and look at this, I'm ready. Excuses are over. Him out is the priority, because I think if you get him out, you take half the toxicity with him.
Am I right in saying, though, if we do sell Dele Alli, we need to buy another homegrown player? Is that right? Am I right in saying that?
Don't know, is it? Is that right?
Because remember last summer there was a bit of an issue, wasn't there, with the homegrown quota?
Seemed to have every bloody
but could
summer
you not
an issue
promote,
with it.
Sim will know this better. Could you not promote an Alfie Devine or some? Or not, I'm just using Alfie Devine as a name because it's homegrown. Could you not just bring up another homegrown player? But then listen, we need.
I think technically you could, but
I think Mikey was just saying before that we need defenders, which we could do. But for me, the necessities are replacing Eriksen and getting competition for Kane, because we can't keep doing this. This has been years without these positions being addressed.
You think that's more of a priority than getting competent centre backs in?
I do. Right now, I do, because we know Kane's going to pick up an injury, or might pick up on facts and stats and history. He's bound to pick up an injury of some sort. Probably his ankle, but obviously his hamstring tore off a couple of years ago. So without him, we need a backup. Son hasn't exactly been putting up trees over the last few weeks. And we have no creativity. There's absolutely none. So we're not scoring. We're not creating. So I think we need to address that. If we can get a defender, the way I look at it with a defender, do you remember when we signed Reguilon and he said we weren't in for a left back, we weren't in for a left back, we weren't in for a left back unless he comes available. He became available. We got him. I think they'll have their eye on a defender. And again, it depends on the extent of Romero. Will we get this scan result back, or I don't know? Has it come back yet?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Not yet, no.
So I think we have to address those two positions first, and then if we can get a defender, listen, we've got so much strength and depth on there, and I wouldn't say strength, but you know what I mean. The numbers are there to cover the defence if we can't get one. But the creative midfielder, no. The striker replacement or backup or competition. Sorry, competition is an important word. No.
But surely, Brian, when you look at us, even with Romero, you've got Dyer and Davis in our centre-back positions. Like, are they good enough to go into the second half of the season with? Like, I'd rather go into the second half of the season with Harry Kane and no backup with two new centre-backs than a backup to Harry Kane and no new centre-backs.
Well, do you know what? That's an interesting argument you put there, Simeon. Why have you done this to me? So that's... No, I mean, I'm still going to go. I think there'll be a defender that will become available. Davis and Dyer has been surprising me over the Conte period, especially Davis. You've got to give him a bit of credit where it's due.
No, I agree. I agree.
Oh, no, I know you do, Simeon. But this is the thing. I think if we can't defend, we need to score. Listen, when you've got Son and Kane up top, you've always got a chance of scoring 1, 2, 3, multiple. But you've got to create for them. You've got to create for them. And it could go back to the old Aussie days that we'll score one more than you. But just not have famous 5. We can have the famous 2 back and get them firing. But they need some help. They desperately need some consistent help. And Eriksen replacement is where I think is the more. I'd rather go centre back. Sorry, not centre back. Creative midfielder and then replacement for Kane. Back competition for Kane. I think that creativity is part, whether it's a ball playing midfielder or I'm just saying this guy's name. I'm not saying go for him. Coutinho, who's kind of a dribbler, will take players on and create space. We need one of those two, as in the type of player, in my opinion, is top of the list.
Would you let go of Bergwijn if it meant signing someone else, or because it looks like he might not be in his plans at the moment?
Right, Brian wasn't ready for all these questions this early
Yeah,
in the morning.
no. Do you know what? I was ready for these questions. I just wasn't ready for Simeon's blockbuster. These are really good questions. So, I am a fan of Bergwijn. And what I think is, if you look at it, I don't think, and Simeon will definitely know this, I don't think he's had 10 straight games, or even 7 straight games playing in the position.
I think you're probably right on that, because when he first came, he had a stringer. He had a few good games and then got an injury, didn't he?
He got an injury. I think it was at the Villa game, wasn't it, that you went to, the one before lockdown, the 3-2 where Son scored, and he
him and Son both got injured, I believe, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, the last time he had a run like that was probably at the beginning stages of last season under Jose.
Yeah, I don't think it was 10 games though. It was probably like 6 or 7.
Yeah,
and also he was playing at right wing back, wasn't he? So he wasn't playing in his actual position. And I think under Conte, under Jose, he was playing as a defensive right back or right wing back. Whereas I think if Conte got hold of him and said, "Right, I want you to play in that position," I think attacking wise he could do it. I think attacking wise, but do you know what? If you look at his stats, they're not very good at the moment. They're really not good. But he's doing it for Holland. And as I said at the beginning, when Conte comes in,
he did it in one game for Holland.
Okay, so that's more than Tottenham. So let's grab onto that olive branch. But I honestly think, like I said, even with Højbjerg, who you guys know how much I love that man, if you get a replacement, you can get an upgrade, and it's a valid upgrade, then you do it. Enough of this sentiment and what you feel about a player. We want a successful Tottenham. We want to compete in Tottenham, and we're not going to do it with keeping players just because we love them.
Fair enough.
But on Bergwijn, if the rumours are to be believed, apparently Conte just doesn't fancy him at all and not really speaking to him around the training ground. I mean, what do you make out of those rumours? Do you think there's any legs to those?
I think, I mean, when we saw off the Leeds game, that hug that apparently him and Doherty, I thought there was nothing in it. I thought there was absolutely, it could have been the time that photo was shot, and it could be very misleading. But you're hearing these things going on, and you've got to start thinking that this may have some legs to it. And it's Ajax that are constantly linked, isn't it? And Ajax have been after him for before we got him. So the thing is, again, you can see if he comes out, I know he's on a ridiculous wage, and he's had ridiculous wage hikes from where he was in PSV to join us. Who comes in? If we get these players out, and is it going to be a case of, I don't want it to be like Eriksen when we couldn't get Fernandes in until we sold Eriksen. So we need to get these players in before these players come out, not send them out and then wait to see the replacement come in. That's got to stop.
All right. What did you say? You said 2-1? 3-1, you said. Who's going to get the goals?
I think there's going to be 4 goals. And I think my heart is saying 3-1. I'm begging and praying for 3-1. Let's just hope it doesn't go 2-2. Who do I think is going to score? Okay. I'm not saying Kane anymore. Not because I don't think he will, but every time I do, he's not scoring. So maybe I'm the jinx. So I'm not saying Kane. So we'll go Son. Maybe a dire. I'm going to go cheeky here. We're going to go dire free kick. This
dire
is
free kick.
Stuff. A dire free kick. Well, he almost got one against Leeds, didn't he? So we'll go dire free kick.
Is it going to hit the top of the wall this time?
Who knows, mate? I think one of his free kicks might hit the cockerel, come down, hit someone on the head, and bounce in. So we're going for a goal that way. So Son, Dyer, Mora.
All right. Loving it. Let's hope you're right, mate. Let's hope you're right. 3
Let's
points. Let's hope for 3 points tomorrow night. But yeah, look, Brian, thanks for coming on, mate, and we shall see you soon.
You certainly will. And as always, I will leave with my favourite 2 words: Levy out.
Big up, Brian.
That's on Brian.
See you very soon. Oh, and look who we got next. In Eden Cooper. Long time no see. How you doing, Eden?
Yeah, guys. Been a long time.
I know. How you been?
Yeah, been good. Not too bad. Funny start to the season, hasn't it been, right?
Yeah.
How are you finding the Italian Revolution so far?
I'm loving it. You know, I'm loving it.
You keeping a close eye on Vlahovic for us out in Italy?
Well, I think his numbers speak for himself. He's brilliant, but I think that's a discussion for another time because I don't think he's reachable for us, but that's just my feeling. And yeah, I'm loving Conte. I mean, when I saw the rumors again, first this summer I was so hyped for him as everyone, but I always felt we were never gonna actually get him. But when I saw the rumors pop up again after the United game, I was so excited because I feel very connected to him because he was also the manager of Italy. He was also the manager of Bari, who is the team of where I live in Italy. That's where he first started his managerial career. So it's
What
like
job? How was the job he did over there?
he got us back in Serie A in 2009, and then from there he went to Atlanta, then went to Juventus, and then you all know his career. So I have that connection to him as well.
Yeah.
All right, amazing. In terms of the game on Thursday night, tomorrow, Brentford at home. They've just stopped the rot after four or five consecutive defeats, and they got a draw and a win. And gone back to winning ways on Sunday. How do you expect the game to go? What do you think Tottenham should do to try and win this game?
Yeah, I think Brentford, they're a tougher position because they had a bad run lately, but they bounced back against Everton, and I think they showed during the season that they kind of upped their game. They have good games, even if they don't always get the result against the big teams. Although they beat Arsenal, well, not big team, but whatever. They beat West Ham away. They drew to Chelsea. No, they drew to Liverpool. They only lost 1-0 to Chelsea. So I think against the big sides, they up their game and they're up for it. So it won't be easy at all. But I think if we go head to head and just play our game, as I think we will, we're going to show our superior quality, and I think we'll just get the 3 points, but it's not going to be easy as usual.
And where do you see where we can hurt them the most? I mean, where are their biggest frailties, do you reckon?
Well, probably with our wing backs we might, because Conte likes to play, as we know, with the wing backs. I think that's what he's shown also with Tottenham. I think we can hurt them with that. Obviously, we expect our strikers to beat their defenders, but it hasn't been always the case, especially with Kane this season, unfortunately. But we all know, I think he just needs that one goal, that one moment to unlock his season. So hopefully we'll start this Thursday. And I think we have now Thursday and Sunday 2 home games that we just have to win, no excuses, against Brentford and Norwich. And then we have other easy games, then the Leicester and Liverpool game, against which we're going to probably struggle, but we have to get to those games with maximum points because we need to catch up, and a busy period coming. So we have to get there with not only just good, not only with the wins, but we have to get there with at least good mentality and good performances, because that's, I think, the most important thing.
And go on.
Yeah, in terms of the lineup on Thursday, are you going to stick with what we were going to do against Burnley, or would you change up at all?
Yeah, I'm so annoyed with Romero missing because I think he would have loved being under Conte. I think he still hasn't started just the Everton game with him, yeah. And that's so unlucky for us because Romero is great, and I think under Conte he would flourish even more. But I mean, we don't know when he's back. So regarding the back three, I would stick with Davis on the left, Dyer, and Tanganga, honestly, because Sanchez, I mean, I can't stand him, honestly. After what the performance he showed against Mura, I mean, Conte will. I know Conte is so obsessed with good defenders, and I can just imagine how much he dreads playing Sanchez. But at the end of the day, he's kind of forced to do it because the only options are him and Tanganga, and also Jaffe hasn't been that great. So I think it's between the two of them. I think Conte might go for Sanchez, but I would prefer Jaffe. Then the rest of the lineup is pretty much carbon copy from the other games. It's mainly the only doubt could be Skippy or Winks, but I think he's going to go for Skippy. So the rest of the lineup is pretty much set to be confirmed, I think. And he's also maybe do some changes for the Norwich game because it's only going to be 3 days in between the games. So maybe against Norwich, there's going to be a bit of a different lineup. So we might see a bit of changes for that game. And probably the Norwich game, Conte's a bit of an easier game, so he might rest someone for the Norwich game rather than for the Brentford game.
What's the score going to be tomorrow night, Eden?
I'm going to go for a 3-1. 3-1.
Who's going to score?
I'll say Kane will get 2, and Regular will get another 1.
Regular.
again, 2 games in a row, eh? Loving that. Eden,
And guys, I might see you
Go
soon
on.
because I'll be coming to London from 14th to the 21st, and I'm probably going to be at the Liverpool game and maybe Leicester away. So we might see each other if I come to the stadium.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. Give us a shout if you're coming down, and we'll meet up for a drink or something.
Yes, we'll do that.
All right,
one,
Eden. Thanks a lot for coming on, my friend. And we'll see you soon. Come on, you Spurs.
Bye.
All right, that was Eden Cooper. Oh, look who we got here. We got the guy who gets constantly battered on FIFA to PSG. How you doing, Mr. Irish Hotspur?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm flying for him today. Spurs are back tomorrow. What more do we want?
Exactly. Obviously, we're getting pumped up on the pre-match pump up tomorrow night. Very much looking forward to it. Me and Sim will be in the stadium tomorrow. It's probably a silly question, but are you confident for tomorrow night?
Yeah, look, there's no point of asking me that anymore. Of course, I'm confident going into every game. Look, some people call it delusional, but one thing I'll never do is see another rival fan see me talk bad about my team. You know what I mean? So
until the game's finished.
Yeah, until the game's finished. Going into every game, I'll never give them the satisfaction. But no, look, there's no reason why we can't win tomorrow. I mean, the game was called off at the weekend. They played at the weekend. We should be a lot more fresher than them. And look, I expect us to explode at some stage in this Premier League, and I think this run of games could be it. Start with Brentford, roll on Norwich.
Do you think that kind of rest that we've had in that Brentford haven't had is going to be a big kind of plus for us, or do you think that there's not too much in it?
No, I think it'd be a big plus. Look, you looked at Son, he was probably looking a bit jaded. You look at Kane looking a bit jaded. Do some of our best players the world of good to have that week's rest, and it'll probably help us over the course of this December.
Interesting.
In terms of the lineup on tomorrow, are you expecting the exact same what he was going to pick against Burnley, or is there any changes? Maybe match Burnley with the 3 in the middle. What do you think?
Do you know what? I'd be surprised to see changes. I did say going into the Burnley game that whatever team he picks, bar Romero, I think would be his best. He would be his best 11 because he had everyone available, and I'd be surprised to see him make any changes. To be honest with you.
How do you see the game going?
Yeah.
Oh, I see us winning, of course. Look, no, look. Do you know what? It'll be a tough game. I think Ivan Toney will be a handful. That Brian Mbeumo, he's a bit of a handful as well. And Canos as well, he has an eye for a pass. But look, defensively, there's no reason why we shouldn't be getting at these and beating these. To be honest with you, I mean, look, we're going to turn the busy bees into sad bees, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be getting the 3 points here. I mean, look, if we came out of this with a draw or a loss, I'd be absolutely angry. I mean, we bet them last year in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, bet them 2-0. So there's no reason why we shouldn't.
It was fairly comfortable, wasn't it, last year in the semi-final, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And look, everyone gave them a good build-up into the semi-final. They're a dangerous team. They will be in the Premier League, this, that, and the other. But look, I mean, you're talking about a team that haven't bet us since 1948. I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't be beating these. If we lose to these, it's a tragedy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we might have not have lost to them since 1948, but before last year we hadn't played them since 2000. So I mean, you can screw the stats as much as you want.
But look, you have to let me hold on to records where I can have them back. You know what I mean?
You could have that one. In terms of Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, you said, they've been looking a bit jaded before. How important is it for them, because with players like that, with that quality, it can be a get-out-of-jail free card any game that we're not playing well in. How important is it for you that they come back into form this week?
No, it's very important. Look, the whole three of them across the front line. Look, Son, he hasn't scored or assisted in 4 games. We know Harry Kane only has 1 goal in the Premier League, and look, Lucas, I think he has 1 assist in 11 games. You know what I mean? It's not good enough from all 3 of them, the output. Look, there's only so much blame you can put on them because I think we'd all agree that the issues are further back in the field, and if you don't have the right players there, you struggle to get your forward line in. Unless you're going to do something like Jose done, where you get Kane to drop deep, pick up the ball, and get Son and Lucas to go in behind. But Conte doesn't want to do that. Conte wants to keep Kane up in and around the box, which is great. So, look, all 3 of them need to pull their finger out really and start getting going. Start pulling these teams apart. Because, look, when it comes to Sonny, he hasn't been himself the last little while. He's not beating players the way he used to. He doesn't look as energetic as he used to. Kane, I mean, we all know the problems there. It's about time, he unleashed. And Lucas Moore, as incredibly hard as he works, I mean, it's the end product that's the problem. So he needs to be able to get that going too. Look, I would single out individual players, i.e. Kane and that, if everyone else was scoring. But nobody else is scoring. And that tells me it's a tactics problem or a system problem or a quality problem and not an individual problem.
Interesting. And in terms of the game tomorrow, what is your score prediction?
Look, why can't we go 4-0? I mean, we're at
4-0, I love that.
It's the start of Christmas, you know what I mean? My favourite time of the year. I'm sure it's Tottenham's favourite time of the year. So let's start giving Spurs fans Christmas presents worldwide and start delivering 3 points around the place.
Who's going to get the goals?
Oh, Harry Kane with 2 and Son with 2. Look, the two boys are ready to explode. They've had a week off. They're ready.
You pumped up yourself for the pre-match pump up tomorrow?
I mean, you know me, lad. I'm always pumped up for every single game. Every single game. Look, the Burnley one was deflating, especially in the middle of a pre-match pump up, to get word it's cancelled. But no, look, you know me. I'll be back in form, back ready for the game tomorrow. I'm even pumped up for the Norwich pre-match pump up. That's how far ahead I am, my man.
You doing a pump up for the pump up?
Yeah, probably roll out of bed. It all depends on what time kickoff is at. Any earlier than 10 o'clock doesn't suit for me in the morning. So.
You got put on the back foot, didn't you, on the last pump up? I can't remember who called up,
Sean, I think.
Sean. That was it. That was a brilliant little debate you had on the pump up.
Yeah. Sean, in fairness, he came on, put me on the back foot, but I think everyone agreed watching it, that I absolutely roasted him when it comes to Daniel Levy and the money he hasn't put in. No, look, big up to Sean. It's not an easy thing to do. Come on and have a debate like that. But yeah, I think I definitely won that. At the end of the day, look, he gave it a good go, but you cannot condone an owner not putting in money over the last decade at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
Can't condone it.
Absolutely spot on. But Dave, always great to speak to you, my friend, and we'll see you very soon. I'll see you tomorrow on the pump up, I guess.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow on the pump up, lads. Everyone else out there, the We Are Tottenham TV army, make sure you join in. Lots of yous were joining in for the Brentford for the Burnley game. I want to see the same tomorrow. We're Tottenham Hotspur, 3 points in coming. Let's go.
Come on!
Come on, David.
Come on,
David.
Big up.
Big up, Dave, the Irish Hotspur.
Big up, David.
Always on good form.
Classic.
But I wish the Spurs team showed as much form as he shows. But look, is there anyone else left? All right, so I think that is it for the Good Morning Tottenham / pre-match pump up today. I've just seen that the press conference is starting in about half an hour. So the press conference will be with you in about an hour, let's say. You're going to have a predicted lineup today. Match preview will be clipped up and put up, and you might even have the last episode of our FIFA session as well, where we could be winning the Europa League. So everyone, thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.